Hello! Let's embark on a whirlwind journey through the fascinating and complex story of Colombia. Get ready for a journey packed with rebellion, gold, coffee, and a few plot twists. Let's begin in a time before time, with the indigenous peoples of Colombia. Long before the Spanish conquistadors had their maps and their muskets, Colombia was home to numerous civilizations, including the Muisca, Tairona, and Cumbaya. The Muisca, for instance, had a knack for gold that would have made even King Midas jealous. Their rituals involved coating their leaders in gold dust and sending them on a raft to the middle of Lake Guatavita to toss treasures into the water as offerings to the gods. This glittering ceremony inspired the legend of El Dorado, which lured many a greedy European to their eventual doom. Spoiler alert, no one's found it. Yet. Then, in 1499, the Spanish arrived, led by Alonso de Ojeda, who was probably thinking this is going to be easy. But it wasn't. The Spanish conquest of Colombia took decades of fighting, bargaining, and outright brutality. The indigenous people resisted fiercely, but by the mid-1500s, Spain had established its control, giving birth to the Viceroyalty of New Granada. This new territory included modern-day Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama. The Spanish of the 16th century collected countries like they were Pokemon cards. Fast forward to the 18th century, and the seeds of rebellion were sprouting all over South America. Colombia's independence movement began to simmer under the weight of Spanish taxes, trade restrictions, and the sheer arrogance of colonial rulers. Enter Simón Bolívar, the George Washington of South America. A George Washington with a flair for drama and a panache for horseback riding. Bolívar led a series of daring campaigns across the Andes, liberating Colombia in 1819 and creating Gran Colombia, a short-lived republic that included Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Panama. Well, Gran Colombia fell apart faster than a poorly baked souffle, largely due to political infighting and regional rivalries. And by 1831, Colombia emerged as its own republic, but stability was not exactly its strong suit. The 19th century was marked by a constant civil war as the conservative and liberal parties treated the country like their own personal chessboard. But these weren't your typical political squabbles. We're talking about armed conflicts that reshaped the nation's landscape and psyche. And then came the 20th century, a time of innovation, coffee, and unfortunately, even more conflict. Colombia became one of the world's top coffee exporters, fueling morning routines across the globe. But while coffee thrived, the country was plagued by La Violencia, a brutal civil war from the late 1940s to the mid-1950s that left over 200,000 dead. It started with the assassination of a charismatic leader, Jorge Eliezer Gaitán, and spiraled into a decade of bloodshed that would eventually give way to even darker chapters. The latter half of the 20th century saw the rise of guerrilla groups like the FARC and paramilitary forces, along with the explosive growth of the drug trade. Yes, the name Pablo Escobar looms large here, but Colombia's story isn't just about its cartels. It's about resilience. While violence dominated the headlines, Colombians built a culture of resistance, music, art, and innovation, all while continuing to export some of the best coffee the world has ever tasted. And fun fact, the coffee plant isn't even native to Colombia, but like many things, the Colombians took it and they made it spectacular. Kinda like what they've done with salsa dancing. The 21st century has been a period of transformation. With peace accords signed in 2016 between the government and the FARC, Colombia has turned a corner. Though challenges remain, Today, the country is a vibrant mix of cultures, from Afro-Colombian communities on the Caribbean coast to the Andean highlands and the Amazon rainforest. Its biodiversity is so staggering that Colombia could give National Geographic a run for its money. From hummingbirds to jaguars, the natural world here is as colourful as the people, and let's not forget the arepas, which are arguably a national treasure in their own right. So what is Colombia today? It's a nation that refuses to be defined by its struggles. It's a place where the past and present dance together, sometimes gracefully, sometimes clumsily, to the beat of a cumbia drum. It's a country of contradictions, where ancient traditions meet modern innovation, and where the warmth of its people can melt even the hardest of hearts.